Hey Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanRave.com, and joining me tonight is James. What's going on, James?
Not much. I think I'm coming down with a cold, but besides that, not much. Just got off work tonight at 7. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just not nothing much to talk about the last few weeks, since for the last episode, except stuff.
Yes, for those of you who are regular viewers of the show, we apologize. There have not really been a lot of new episodes coming out in the past few weeks, and there's a reason for that. You may notice that we're actually looking a little bit different tonight because we're side by side instead of just one of us being on your screen at once. We've switched to a new format because we are now recording through Skype. And you will also probably notice that this episode was not live broadcasted at any point. That is because we've pretty much said goodbye to the YouTube live streaming thing because of the fact that we've done, over the course of the past 4 weeks where there were no new episodes put up, we were actually broadcasting live episodes quite a few of those weeks. But unfortunately, they kept getting lost. They were lost in the system and they would just disappear. So we've got 2 episodes that are just out there somewhere and we don't know where they are. And it's a little bit disappointing. So we've decided to move away from the YouTube broadcasting method of doing our podcast, and we've moved to this new Skype recorder aspect. This is our first time doing this, so there might be a few bugs here and there that we'll have to work out. We're getting used to it. We're getting our feet wet with this, so bear with us if there are any problems. But we're pretty excited about this. This is going to give us more control over our podcast instead of just being at Google's mercy the entire time. But in terms of my week, or in terms of the past 4 weeks, well, I think I'm like everyone else when I say it's been quite an interesting. This past week has been quite interesting. But other than that, there's not really much I have to say about the past 4 weeks. But you know what has happened over the past 4 weeks is that there's been some Spider-Man movie news that's come out, and the main piece of movie news that we have to speak of today is that Michael Keaton has been confirmed to be the Vulture. It was kind of left up in the air. I mean, most of us assumed that he was the Vulture for the longest time. When we heard that he was playing a major villain, we're like, okay, he's got to be the Vulture. It's like you don't put Michael Keaton in a guest starring role or a secondary role. So
He was either going to be Vulture or Osborn, in my mind. If it wasn't Vulture, I was 99.9% sure it was Vulture. But if there was a 1% of me going, I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't been Osborn.
Yeah, there was always that little, there was always that aspect of it that was like, you could see Michael Keaton being a major recurring player throughout the franchise.
I could see him pulling off a really good Osborn.
Yeah, oh yeah, I could definitely see him playing,
That's what I
playing
mean,
that role.
It's like I could see him being Adrian Tone. He'd be a perfect Vulture. He played Birdman. I can see that. And then at the same time, it's like, but I can also see him especially with Batman. He has that crazed look to his face where he could pull off being Osborn. So that's why I was kind of like, oh, one or the other, and I'm glad that it was my first choice.
Yeah, and so Michael Keaton is officially confirmed to be the Vulture. Also, we learned a little bit about Tom Holland's contract and how much he's going to be doing as Spider-Man.
He's got a 6-movie deal, and he's already done 2 of them.
Yeah, it's like he's got a 6-movie deal, 3 solo Spider-Man films, and 3 MCU guest appearances. So,
which is a better deal than the Netflix series got, because the way it sounds now with their contract, we don't even know if they use these characters or they're just going to recast us because Joseph Lowe and Kevin Feige are not getting along.
Yeah, and so Tom Holland has 3 solo Spider-Man films. He also has 3 Marvel guest appearances in the similar manner to Civil War. So we've already had Civil War. So, that was on there. Spider-Man Homecoming is his first solo movie, so probably 2 more Spider-Man films, and then maybe an Avengers film,
I think the other 2 are going to be the Infinity War and whatever the second Avenger movie was going to be.
It's possible.
Let's just face it, they're going to renew the deal. I mean, it's like he's got a 6-feature deal now, but you got to figure they're going to renew this deal.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. I mean, it's Spider-Man. They're not going to let him go that easy, and so We obviously know that even if it's not Tom Holland that they continue it with, you know that they're going to recast somebody because they're not just going to let Spider-Man die out or anything, because he's probably their highest money making character.
He's back. Spider-Man's back in the playpen. They're never going to let him go out to Sony again.
Especially,
it's just going to be a thing of Sony goes, well, thanks for borrowing the character. We want to do with him, but you guys can do that idea in our movie. Really? Yeah. Just keep him over here.
Yeah,
and no Venom.
No, let's see. No Venom, no Sinister Six, no Spider-Gwen.
The Venom movie just sounds like, let's just call it, it's Avi Arad still wanting to because he hates Kevin Feige, because Kevin Feige's idea for Marvel Studios actually fucking worked. And he's jealous. Ray's is like, well, he can have Spider-Man, but all Spider-Man villains are going to be in a secret war, invasion, team-up, super Venom movie. No, that's stupid. You're never going to get it made.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really following Avi Arad's logic when it comes to the Venom movie.
Avi Arad had no logic ever.
Well, I mean, okay, he's done.
He thought the guy who has some of the worst ideas in the history of Marvel movies thought that Kevin Feige's idea of let's interconnect all our movies together into one universe like the comics, he thought that was a bad idea because because Avi Arad, he's like, I got a hand in Fox, I got a hand in Paramount, I got a hand in New Line, I got a hand in Sony, and you want to just screw that all up by making it all one universe? That's a dumb idea. So I'm going to stay here with Sony with Spider-Man. You can do that. I'll be over here with Amazing Spider-Man trilogy that never got made into a trilogy.
Amazing Spider-Man couple, I guess. But it's like, yeah, Avi Arad's over there like, oh man. He goes to see the Avengers. It's like,
literally, he left Marvel Studios because he thought Kevin Feige's idea of let's connect everything was a bad idea, because people don't realize this. According to like if you look at like movie news and stuff like that, going all the way back to like the 2000s, there was talks then about an X-Men Spider-Man or X-Men Fantastic Four between Fox and Sony coming together for these ideas. And it was Avi Arad who shot them down because he felt like if they connected the studios, they would go directly to Marvel and not him, and then he'd be out of a job. That's his whole purpose of why it took 2008 to finally do a connected universe. Because he realized that he would be out of a job if that happened.
Yeah, it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is possibly the best idea that anyone's ever had in terms of superhero movies, and it works. And boy, am I glad that it works. But
I still remember, because you got to remember 2007. Almost every Marvel superhero movie is either in development hell, or you just came off Spider-Man 3, X-Men 3, and Fantastic Four 2.
And wasn't there a Punisher movie in there?
Yes, and I think also Ghost Rider. So you had a really shitty year and a half, 2 years of Marvel movies that they just bombed in the box office, that were crap. And I still remember leaving whatever was the last of those ones that come out. I want to say Ghost Rider. And somebody goes, and now Marvel thinks that, I still remember this guy said, and next year we got to sit through an Iron Man movie that supposedly is going to be an Avengers thing. So we're going to be stuck with Wasp and Will-O-Wisp and Captain Britain and all these guys in a movie. Yawn, and look at what ended up happening.
The best thing that nerds have ever had happen to them in their lives. Probably.
But that was hindsight. It was like 2008. It's like, and now we got to sit through another Hulk reboot and an Iron Man movie, and it's all going to set up to an Avengers movie. That's going to bomb. It's Iron Man. Iron Man doesn't make money.
Oh, how naive they were. Because Iron Man 3, ladies and gentlemen, like what, $1.2 billion? Downey Jr. in Civil War, $1.2 billion.
He's the very reason why Marvel thought, no, Spider-Man's not the flagship. Iron Man's the flagship. And then that completely bombed.
Yeah, that fizzled out after what, 14 issues, and now they've got Ironheart, and Doctor Doom Iron Man, because everyone was asking for that. But
you know what it is, don't you? Well, if it worked for Spider-Man, it will work for Tony.
Yes.
That's all it is.
But we're not here to dwell on Marvel Studios and everything that has brought us all together. We are here to talk about Spider-Man, and specifically at this point, moving away from the movie news, because that's really all we have. Like, there's not a lot of detail with it. It's just like...
And I gotta say, I still say to this day, Batman's my number 2 superhero behind Spider-Man. And still, I like all the Batman movies, and some more than others. Obviously, it's more of a I like to make fun of with Batman and Robin. Let's be honest, it's in the room where it's good for a laugh kind of thing. But I don't really think because I actually hate a Batman movie. And my 2 favorites are still Batman '89 and Batman Returns, and Michael Keaton's a big reason for both of those. So it's gonna be awesome to see Michael Keaton in another superhero movie with Spider-Man this time, which is kind of funny because Michael Keaton, a Batman, just got cast as a Spider-Man villain in his movie. And how many fucking people are in the DC cinematic universe that used to be a part of the Spider-Man movie? You got Joey Morenga, who's now gonna be Deathstroke, and he was Flash in the Raimi movies. You got William Dafoe playing somebody who's not confirmed yet, and you got J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. I'm waiting for, and here's Tobey Maguire as Nightwing, and Kirsten Dunst as Donna Troy, and James Franco as James Franco playing himself.
Yeah, it's like, just...
James Franco is Jason Todd.
and James Franco has one line. It's so good. That is forever going to be the best Harry Osborn moment in any Raimi film, in any Spider-Man film.
I like it how John makes sure he says in the Raimi movies, because remember, we went for a year of John creeping me out how he already knew every Harry Osborn line of dialogue from Amazing Spider-Man 2. We're doing the movie show, and me and Ed are being freaked out with the fact that John saw the movie enough times to get the exact mannerisms down of the lines.
It was an audio podcast! It was an audio podcast at that point! How could you tell that?
The way you said it! You had the mannerisms in the voice!
You know what, James? I just have a good memory. I have that attribute. It is a strength.
The best story from that podcast is the story I told about the guy who only went to the movie for the Ninja Turtle trailer, gave it a standing ovation, and walked out.
And then Ed Jones came in with the classic line, "What, has he never heard of YouTube?"
It was hilarious. You bought it. I mean, it's like you hear this story a lot, like when the first X-Men movie came out or the first Batman movie came out, how people would do that in the movie theaters. But that was 1980s, the early 2000s, and 90s. You can get away with that because the internet wasn't a big thing yet. It's 2000, what, 13, 14 when that happened?
Oh, man. But moving off of random movie theater hilarity.
Oh, trust me, we can have a whole podcast which is just film experiences I had with weirdos in the fucking movie theater. Like the dad that wouldn't sit down for 15 fucking minutes blocking the screen for everybody during Avengers 2 because he was waiting for his kids to come in from the snack bar, and he was saving their 2 seats for him. So he's standing up. So it's like, I'm trying to see what they're doing at this Hydra base, fella.
All right, but Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 20. This came out like 4 weeks ago, and we've tried to review it twice before.
It's to the point that I'm just going to let John do it and go, yep. And he goes, geez, what's your opinions of it? Yep.
We've tried to... This is our 3rd attempt at reviewing this. This is the 3rd episode we've done that we've reviewed this.
You want to know how long ago that was since you guys actually saw us when we first started doing this review? The Cubs still had the longest losing streak in baseball history when it came to championships.
I had a retort for that, but I'm not going to say it.
Because Cleveland's now number 1?
Yeah. This is what I say to you. You know what? We got the Cavs championship. The Cavs are having a good season.
Yeah, and then you guys got cocky, and it's like the pride before the fall. Yeah, we came back down 3-1, and we won the basketball championship. Yay us! Cleveland's better. We're our city's sports are changing. Football team hasn't won a game yet, and your baseball team lost 3-1 after having a 3-1 lead in the series to the Chicago Cubs.
Well, you know what, James?
Your Cleveland Indians will only be remembered as a Trivia Pursuit question of who was the team that finally lost to the Cubs in a World Series.
Yeah, well, Wisconsin made cheese.
Great comeback, John. Great comeback. Wisconsin makes cheese. Do you got any other bright things like California has sun?
Okay, Amazing Spider...
New England has clam chowder.
Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 20.
Montana has nothing.
I have an uncle who lived in Montana, and that's not far...
Okay.
That's really true. That's like...
I was about to say, okay, Montana, that just has one guy living there that happens to be related to John.
I'm not kidding. Like, he tells me stories about Montana, and, like, you are so close to the mark, you don't even know, James. There is nothing in that state. Apologies to Montanans.
You know what the sad thing is? This ain't the only podcast, the comic book related, that I listen to where they have made jokes about Montana.
All right, but Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 20. I want to get this over with because I'm tired of reviewing this issue. Writers Dan Slott, Christos Gage, penciler Giuseppe Camicoli, inkers Cam Smith, Giuseppe Camicoli, colorist Jason Keith, letterer VC's Joe Caramagna, cover artist Alex Ross, assistant editor Allison Stock, associate editor Devin Lewis, editor Nick Lowe, and my God, that's a lot of editors. So we start off underneath New U headquarters in the Jackal's laboratory. Great. So now Doc Ock's back? Perfect. I guess Jackal's just cloning everybody. Is that it? And Doc Ock's basically
You're not far off.
Yeah, based on what we're going to talk about later, you're not all that far off, Peter. But Doc Ock's like, your taunts ring hollow, Spider-Man. I know you well enough to see that. In your heart, you know the truth. I'm no mere clone, simulacrum, or hologram. It is I, the one true Otto Octavius, the man who cheated death itself. And so he basically tells the story of how after he escaped the living brain, he went to a graveyard that had a bunch of supervillain, like deceased supervillain bodies in it, and he dug down into his own grave, and the body was gone. And so he dug into Alistair Smythe's grave, and that body was gone too. And so he hacked into an iPhone or whatever that some worker had.
Oh my God, we gotta go explain this crap again.
Yeah, we do. And it turns out that there was this group who is grave robbing the graves of supervillains because black market profits. And so Doc Ock poses as a new U person because he's going after the new U tech because he knows it can get him a new body. So he poses as a new U person and buys the body and sends it to a new U headquarters. And so the body shows up. Jackal's like, the fuck is this? We didn't order any of this, but we'll take it anyways because plot convenience.
And then when we get to issue 2, we're gonna wonder why wouldn't he want the fucking body of Otto Octavius when you see what happens in a splash page in this.
And then so Doc Ock manages to get them the body, and they start restoring it to a working form. And so Doc Ock is looking on the screen as the brain patterns are coming up, and he sees that the brain patterns, they're not his. They're still Peter Parker's. Because when that body died, Peter Parker was in the body. And so
which means the real Peter Parker's dead now.
He jumps into the tank, attaches himself to the back of the head, somehow uploads himself into the consciousness, and basically you go back to Amazing Spider-Man number 700 with renewed Giuseppe Camicoli art, but it's got an alternate ending because now they're going to fight it out for control of Doc Ock's body. And through some clunky dialogue, like, all I know is I'm Spider-Man, and no matter what the odds, I'm the guy who never gives up. Doc Ock kills Peter Parker and reclaims control of the body. And so, but at that moment, the Anna Maria AI that was helping Otto in his mission to reclaim his body, yeah, she dies because her battery runs out. And Jackal...
I have to leave. I just remember this joke when we did it on the other episode. When John says that, I have to leave now. My home planet needs me. Anna Maria Marconi AI died on her way back to her home planet.
And then Jackal looks over at Doc Ock's, like, dead AI watch thing and is like, okay,
that's fucked up.
That was weird, but no judgment. It's like, when Miles Warren is calling you weird, you got some problems, buddy. But, so, basically, Jackal's like, here, Otto, we have these arms for you. Just conveniently. Because we totally knew that you were going to be here, even though we didn't even purchase your body in the first place.
Which leads me to believe that Slott called an audible.
And so Doc Ock gets the arms, and Jackal's like, but you're my pawn now. Because this pill, you have to take it once daily. And Doc Ock's like, screw you. That pill, you know what it is? That's a flaw in your design. That's not a safety, it's a flaw. You need me to fix it. I don't work for you, I work with you. Okay. And so, basically, Doc Ock and the Jackal agree to work together, and then the final page is Doc Ock pinning Spider-Man against the wall and basically saying, in every way, I am your superior. To be continued in the Clone Conspiracy #2. I know that was a quick recap, but I've done that recap 3 times.
And it's not even a good comic.
All right, James. For the 3rd time, I'm sorry, listeners and viewers, but we've reviewed this so many times, we're so tired of it. James, for the 3rd time, what'd you think of this issue?
For the 3rd time, it wasn't good. I mean, I haven't read this issue in 4 months, so there's things I forgot. And when John's going, not 4 months, in 4 weeks, that John has mentioned, and I'm like, oh yeah, that fucking bullshit happened. And it reminds me of why I didn't like it. For one thing, Slott called an audible. When you read issue 2, it's pretty obvious that Slott called an audible. You're telling me he brings back some of these villains he brings back in issue 2, and Dr. fucking Octopus wasn't on that list? What?
Oh my god.
It's like everybody called it. Going back to Superior, Jackal's going to clone a body. And that's how Otto's going to replant his memories into it, or something like that. It was something wrong with the Jackal. And Slott knew that people knew about it. So it's like, no, see, it's the Echo in New Avengers. See, Echo, it wasn't Daredevil who was Ronin this whole time. It was Echo in a man suit, which was a retcon that he had to do because people figured it out. It's the same thing here. It wasn't Otto who had it. It was the black market. And because of shenanigans with Otto hacking into the internet, he was able to transport the body from the black market somehow through the internet to Miles Warren. And then when Miles Warren gets here, he's like, what the fuck is this doing here? But I guess I'll buy this body if you said it's Dr. Octopus. Bullshit!
It's like, this guy's one of the biggest supervillains in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery and one of the biggest supervillains in the Marvel Universe. Why would you just leave that out? It doesn't make any sense.
He brings back Jason Phillip fucking McIndale! And you're telling me he's more important than Otto Octavius? Bart Hamilton and his shit is more important than Dr. Octopus?
Now, just to reiterate, this is stuff we learned in Clone Conspiracy #2, which we haven't gotten to yet. But in retrospect, looking at this issue
this is what I felt then, John. Go back a moment. This is what I was saying then. This is clearly he called an audible because everybody called it. I mean, he just happened to have the arms there. Oh, I wasn't planning on having Dr. Octopus's body for my supervillain party, but I have arms just here. Fuck it. And then you got, just some more of the bullshit of, him explaining how he got the body, which is something we didn't really need, especially, again, when we get to issue 2. And that's all it is. It's just Otto getting a body, and then Miles Morgan going, dude, that's fucked up.
Yeah. It's just like, any other thoughts, James, and do you give this issue a thumbs up, sideways, or down? I feel like you've expressed most of your feelings so far. Thumbs down, all right.
It's just not good.
Look, my thoughts on this issue really haven't changed much in the past 4 weeks, but look, the black market thing is ridiculous. It's because we called it. We all knew who had the body, and so Slott decided, no, I can't have them figure it out, so I'm going to change it, unnecessarily so, and just complicating the whole thing to obscene levels. That was ridiculous.
Like I said, if you read issue 2 without that thing, there is nothing in here that doesn't say that Jack already had the body. It is clearly he just called it audible.
And so that was a little bit weird. I did like that this issue gave us such a in-depth story of Doc Ock reclaiming his body since Doc Ock has
kind of bullshit about how he's evil again, but that's more of a complaint I have with issue 2.
But it was good to see such an in-depth story about it, given how important Doc Ock has been to Slott's run. So I appreciated that. There was some clunky dialogue throughout. I gave the example during the Spider-Man Doc Ock fight, but it's Slott at this point. Or actually, no, it might have been Gage this time. Who knows? But the artwork is very good. I thought it really popped off the page. Ken McCauley Smith and Jason Keith all did really well on that. I liked the moment at the end when Doc Ock basically calls the Jackal's bluff and figures out that the Jackal needs him. I thought that was very in character.
It does fit with Otto. I would say that he says, "Oh, a pill that keeps me alive with your cloning technology," which means your cloning technology sucks if you have to have a cure for it.
But I thought that was a very strong character moment, so that part I really appreciated. And I also liked that Doc Ock actually had to earn his body back; it wasn't just given to him. So that was a big positive. I give the issue a thumb sideways. It's not terrible. I think there are pros to it, but boy, does it have some cons.
The one interesting twist I said like months. Oh, I said month, but it felt like months ago, weeks ago when we first reviewed it. Is I do find it kind of interesting. Like it goes full circle that Doc Ock died in the original Clone Saga, and now one of his resurrections happens in the sequel.
Yeah, and so, but Clone Saga, ladies and gentlemen, just clone stuff. That's how it works.
No, John, this is a clone conspiracy because it doesn't deserve the Clone Saga name. You are not ruining the Clone Saga.
But that, I think, is a good segue to Clone Conspiracy number 2. Yes, writer Dan Slott, penciler Jim Chung, or I apologize if I'm butchering that name. Inker John Dell, Justin Ponser, color artist. VC's Joe Caramagna on letters. Gabriel Delato is the cover artist. Assistant editor Allison Stock. Associate editor Devin Lewis. Editor Nick Lowe. James, would you like to recap this issue for us? Because I feel like...
goody, I was hoping you would ask me to do this.
I feel
John
like...
wants my impersonation. Because I read this issue today. I read Renew Your Vows earlier this week when I picked it up, but I finally got to, we got to the podcast in an hour. I better read this thing. So I'm live messaging John. What? With every page I turn.
The moment he sent me that, it's just like, James, you gotta do this one. I feel like I'm gonna enjoy this.
Okay, so this issue begins with San Francisco with shit going down, and then we see some shadowy Spider-Man. What? What?
We just begin with shit going down.
It is. There is trolley cars that are rolling down a hill in San Francisco, John. Shit is literally going down. And then it turns out to be, it wouldn't be a Clone Saga without Kane. Only this time he's not badass, cool, scarred, disfigured Kane. It's no, I'm ripping out Ben Reilly Kane. And Kane's web swinging around because he needs a portal, and it's setting up what happens later on this issue. It's just more of, just setting up that Kane's there and he's alive. We see him waking up. He's in a bedroom with donuts. He opens the door, and some mystery person's there. Who could it be? What is their motivation? Is it fucking other secret mystery men from the original Clone Saga. But we know it's not because Slott has already said he would die before he would put those guys back in the book. Then we go back to where issue 1 ended. Literally, we go back to where issue 20 was. And we got really weird things as you go from Peter at the ending of issue 1 being like, Gwen and Otto, you're alive again. What? And you're like, Peter, are you a fucking idiot? They're clones. And this issue begins with, I'm calling your bluff right now. You're all clones. Not listening. You're clones. Nah, didn't fall for it. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. He's literally like that. He goes, oh, it's just another Gwen clone, and now there's a Daga clone. And then Otto's like, I'm the real one, and I can prove it. You're Dr. Parker. And he goes, well, no shit. What? Well, yeah, you're a Jackal clone, so Jackal Pearl said that you're Peter Parker. But then does that make you truly the superior Spider-Man? And that's what tips it out to Peter that it is Otto. Even though he should have said, Jackal fought Otto when he was in the body. So after I said on national TV, that wasn't me, that was Otto. He made you remember that you were Otto. We're Spider-Man. Well, shit. I slept with Duran. It's the real one! Well, anyways, yeah, Otto then goes over what issue 20. You want to know how much bullshit that was? Here it is in 2 pages.
Yeah, it's like
Otto goes over again because we didn't need it. Slott has to remind us how epic issue 700 and Spider-Verse are. He has to remind us how totally cool and epic his events were. So yeah, they pop in, and you got him saying, "Oh, remember we fought when all the Spider-Mans," and he says, "The body I rightfully stolen." And then when I get to that line, I immediately thought, "You just proved why Superior Spider-Man was the biggest goddamn waste of time." Because there is no character to... Remember, his whole big ending was like, goodbye, I learned my lesson. You are the Superior Spider-Man. And here he's like, I should have known you were never really the Superior Spider-Man. That was me. I rightfully owned your body because I rightfully stole it. So he's back to where he was before 700. What was the fucking point in a Superior Spider-Man? There was no development.
Wasting time? Is that
There is no development because he's just evil Doc Ock again. You don't even have him having a little bit of I don't want to do this, but it's for Anna Maria or something like that. Nope. Nothing like that. I got a funny feeling Anna Maria's going to die and Otto's going to kill her to prove how badass and evil he is. So yeah, this is going on. Slott has to put an editor's note here saying, see Spider-Verse and issue 700, and it's like, we get it. You wrote those. Move on. So yeah, he goes over how I preserved my brain pattern into a computer, and Peter's like, you don't mean, yep, would you like a beverage, Mr. Parker? And that was me making a clicking noise.
I wasn't exactly sure what that was supposed to be, I'll be honest with you.
It'd be going... So yeah, pretty much my joke at the ending when we reviewed this issue, it came true. Where I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I was in the living brain, and Peter going, oh, I feel stupid now. That's pretty much what happens here in this page. And as this is going on, Jackal shows up. He's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, trying to kill Spider-Man. And I told you I'm not working for you, Warren. He's like, dude, I want Spider-Man to be on my side this time. He's not going to join my side if you kill him. Calm the fuck down. So then Jackal's all like, anybody whose name doesn't have an O in it, leave. Literally, that's what he says. He has to call out the fact that Otto, Rhino, and Electro all have O's in their names. He's like, oh, Rhino, Otto, and Electro outside. And that includes everybody with an O in their name. And that's when all the Warren clones realizes that their middle name is Oswald. So they all walk out too. That's not what happens, but that's what it feels like should happen. Like, I imagine all the clones leaving. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Our middle name is Oswald. Ah, damn it. So yeah, he's all like, duplicate, number 1. aren't we the good guys this time? Yeah, duplicate number 2. Ain't I the good guys this time? See, I changed as I asked 5,000 different clones of myself. And then the Gwen clone is like, see, he really is a good guy now because they're security. You're the menace because you broke into their lab. And he's like, yeah, I guess they caught me there. I did that with Fantastic Four and issue 1. My bad. So yeah, he's all like this. He's all like, here, let me give you the tour to show you how this is straight and I'm not a villain no more. Here, I'm giving you a tour. And he's like, what's up with the Egyptian head? Well, it's better than dressing him up like Yoda, says the guy who was invented before Yoda. I get it, sliding time scale, but still. Literally, that's the dialogue. He goes, I like the new Egyptian look. And he goes, oh, thank you. At least it's better than dressing up like Yoda.
It gets more respect than fuzzy Yoda in a Speedo. That's just weird.
And a Joker ripoff. Don't forget the 90s, Jackal. This is a sequel to a 90s event, so don't forget that you also look like the Joker. And then Peter sees Lizard, and he's like, what the fuck's going on here? Dude, this is fucked up. He ate his family. And you're making clones for him to probably eat more. Dude, that's fucked up. And then not Marla, but now his wife has hair that is a different hair color than the last time we saw her. She was a blonde. Why is she a redhead here?
I didn't even notice that until James pointed it out to me.
Why? Did the Jackal literally go, if you're going to live here, you're going to dye your hair because there's only one blonde, and that's Gwen. Spider-Man gets really angry at this. He's all like, oh, you're an asshole for cloning a dead child and bringing the child back to life and all this stuff. And he's all like, you're evil. And then Spider-Man's all like, no, here, I'll open this door and I'll show you how much of a good guy I am now. To show you how totally awesome and badass and cool and totally straight and narrow I am, I'm going to open this door. And then Gwen's like, I don't like this part, I'm going to leave. And he's like, oh, don't worry, Gwen. Spider-Man will save you. Doesn't he always save you? Wink.
Dick move. Like, that's just a dick move.
And then he opens the door and he goes, here's every fucking villain who ever died.
Yes, I want to backtrack for a minute. It's like, this is, he calls it the best part. And then Gwen says, it's eye-opening. I'll give him that. There have been others who've had doubts, but this next stop usually puts those to rest. And what is the next stop?
They set it up to be, you know what it was? They wanted you to think it was Uncle Ben. Like, it's now him bringing in the Ben to bring Peter into the fold. And it's like, nope, it's a door full of supervillains.
It's like, I feel like that's a little bit of false advertising.
Let's name off a list of villains who were on the list that Doc Ock wasn't on. Okay? Both the Smythes. Jason Philip McIndale.
Bart Hamilton.
He's got shit.
The Rose.
Mysterio, who died in the Ultimate Universe.
Or maybe it's the second one, if that other guy ever died.
Tarantula. Another man-wolf.
The big man.
Some blonde dude with a necklace.
The big man.
The Enforcers.
Massacre.
Crime Master. Tarantula. And I just gotta say it again. Stiltman, a Daredevil villain. All your greatest enemies, and one of them's Daredevils.
Oh my god.
All of these guys were on the list and not Doc Ock.
It's just like, issue 20 really screws that up.
You're telling me Bart Hamilton made the list of people that who should be alive and not fucking Dr. Octopus? Really? I just got to bring up this page some more. This brings up so many questions. Like, what Mysterio is that? Because the implication is obviously it's old school classic Mysterio. It's not on the second or third or fourth one. It is Quentin Beck. That's what they want you to at least believe. He died in the Ultimate Universe when that universe collapsed in Secret Wars. How the fuck is he there then? How did you get a body for him? And then I just want to know who the fucking Hobgoblin one is.
Is it supposed to be Ned Leeds?
I first thought it's Macandale, but then you see Jack-o'-lantern there. But then I remembered, a Jack-o'-lantern died in Civil War because Punisher killed him. So that must be that Jack-o'-lantern, and then that's Philip Macandale. But then I went back to read issue 1, and when Peter sees the photo, he has the guilt. It's Ned Leeds in the Hobgoblin suit he sees. So, is it Ned?
And it looks like Ned Leeds' Hobgoblin. Like, Philip Macandale usually had that demonic look.
Ned wasn't really the Hobgoblin. Ned was just, he was tricked into being brainwashed to wear the suit when he got whacked.
Who knows?
And remember, this new use of supposedly cured all, injuries and all that stuff. So he shouldn't have had the mind control then. So he should be Ned Leeds standing like, dude, what the fuck? Where's Betty?
Why
like, should we go? So yeah, you got a splash page of villains that just raises too many fucking questions. Like, stop it! What the fuck is he doing there? You couldn't think of another actual Spider-Man villain who was dead. You're gonna go Daredevil villain. It's like, I'm surprised that if Mysterio's there, I'm surprised that the whole Ultimate Universe isn't there. But yeah, Bart Hamilton's there. So me and John finally have a new comic in 2016 that bring up your shit.
The first time in 40 years.
And you know what the sad thing is? I made that joke of I got your shit of him talking with Ebonics Zog just for a joke. Because it's Bart Hamilton. To actually give him some personality. And I'm the one who made that joke. It took me a while to connect the dots to that scene. I'm like, who's this Green Goblin? Is it the Harry clone from the Mackie Byrne run? And then it finally hit dawn on me. When I did Process of Elimination, it's like, it's Bart Hamilton. So now you can officially say, John, that every Green Goblin came back from the dead. And I want to add, the one who never used the Goblin Serum also came back alive. And I love it how the Smythe bro, he's not in the same shot with his dad, but I just love it how there's a Spider Slayer there, and it's like, yeah, me and my son have been busy making this. Totally, we're not going to try to kill you, though. It's like, why don't you throw some scrolls in there, why don't you? Oh, wait, those are Fantastic Four properties, and fuck them. So then we see Jameson with Marla, and he's all like, you're not going to question why you're here. Nope, not going to do it. Totally badass. And then, of course, then we see Maddie Franklin's shadow, and she says, and it's clearly her, and it's like, did you guys miss me? And he goes, oh my. Okay, now Jameson is looking like a fucking moron. It's everybody who ever died. Literally, I can't wait for the scene now where Ned walks up. Or when Foswell walks up. And for him to be all like, it's the best day ever. It's my birthday. Like, what is he going to do? He just sees everybody who ever worked at the Bugle or related to him who has died. And he's just all like, my gardener who died from natural causes 25 years ago. Yay!
But James, those aren't the only people that Jackal has brought back, because Peter sees the villains, and then he's greeted by other people.
And then Jackal brings up other people like Dr. Kafka, some black guy, somebody who looks like Jarvis, Captain Stacy, Gene DeWolf, and then Prowler. In which Peter's like, dude, what the fuck? He's like, I got my own book. I don't fucking care. I got my own book. What? Did I mention I got my own book? Shut up, Prowler. I got my own book. So yeah, you got Kafka and Captain Stacy there, and Peter's all like, well, what the fuck's going on here? Like the reader is thinking right now. And he's all like, I told you, it's all in the up and all. Look at everybody you ever loved or known is alive. And he's like, that's not what I wanted. And then the Gwen one's talking to him, and it's all about, see, I told you the truth. She walks, and then earlier in the book, she walks to Peter, goes, why aren't you triggering my Spider-Man? She says, because I'm not a clone, I'm the real one. Ha ha ha. And then this is more of it, as Jackal's all like, see, all they got to do is they got to take this pill. I got this formula. Everything's awesome. And then out of nowhere, Captain Stacy just goes insane and pulls out a gun like,
yeah, it's like,
my daughter.
Like, this is where the comic just loses it.
It lost it about 5 pages ago, John, but okay, it lost it more.
No, this is where it, like, literally, it just stopped making sense, like, any at all.
He just randomly just starts screaming for no reason, "You're not my daughter!" And then we see a spider sense over Gwen Stacy, and then we all realize, wait, Spider-Gwen? Or did Jackal decide to clone a Gwen Stacy with Spider-Man powers? And she's going to be 616 Spider-Gwen. And then she starts jumping up, and I could have sworn back in Spider-Verse they said she was college age so they can do this, but yet you read Wet Warriors and she's dating a 13-year-old Miles, so what the fuck? But there's a lot of like upskirt shots of her kicking in air with her skirt flying up in the air because we gotta add some sex appeal with Gwen Stacy. And then she's all like, "I'm the Gwen Stacy from a different dimension. See, I told you I'm not a clone." And Peter's like, "I knew it wasn't a clone."
And the readers are just like, what?
Literally, Gwen starts having kung fu moves kicking everybody's ass. Jason Philip McIndale or Ned Leeds is like, what the fuck?
Everyone's like, WTF.
And then the lizard's in his lab, probably about to get some lizard sex with his wife. And then, because he's all like, "I'm busy." Well, you don't know what they're doing. They're in a lab alone, and they're like, "I'm busy. I'm busy." And then he's like, Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy just escaped, and you need to go get them. And Liz is like, "If I'm late for dinner, make sure he eats his vegetables." What the fuck? And then she's all like talking to Kane, and Peter's like, "What?" As Kane's alive, and then Kane shows up at Horizon University, and he's like, "Yeah, I got Gwen Stacy in my trunk." And he opens it up, and here's Gwen tied up to the webbing, and she's like, "When the Jackal finds out he's gonna kick your..." This turns out to be the real Gwen Stacy. I told John before we went on the air, this is bigger character assassination than Sin's Past was. And that's saying something. You got her tied up to a trunk with Kane. People are going to regret all the shit they said about the 90s Clone Saga after reading this event. I got a feeling like that. They're going to wish it was the 90s Clone Saga over again.
Literally, it's just like, what the hell?
And then Max Modell is the voice of reason, like, "There's a blonde chick tied up to your car. I'm not comfortable with this. Good day, sir." I'm not kidding. That's like literally the exact dialogue down here.
Yeah, it's like, Max Modell is the only person, he's the reader at this point. He's like, where did this come from?
And I love how Kane's like, "I'm trying to save people. They're just rude." What? No, you tied up a random chick. They have no idea who the fuck she is, and just dropped her off here. Like, "Here, I chained this girl to my car, but you're rude for thinking I'm a dick for doing that." Mark Kane, Clone Saga, ah. And then Anna Maria's there, and she's all like, "Yeah, why don't you just have Peter do this?" And he's all like, "Because Peter's gonna work with Miles, and he's gonna bring the end of the world. Dun dun dun. To be continued." Oh my god, damn it,
James, what'd you think? I feel like you gave us a lot of feelings in the recap, but what'd you think, man?
Because it's fresh. I literally just read this thing, 2 hours ago when I picked it up after I got done with work. When I got home from work and I picked it up, and I'm like, well, I guess I gotta finally read this piece of shit. It's weird because it's like he's like saying, "You remember how bad shit crazy the original Clone Saga was? Well, I'm gonna top that in one comic." Because this whole comic, I'm literally live tweeting John for Skype, like, what the fuck? It is so batshit weird. When did Gwen replace herself with the Gwen clone? Like I said, it's clear that issue 20 was a fuck you. Was a, I gotta change this. Because you're like I said, you honestly want me to believe that Bart Hamilton and Frederick Foswell were bigger villains than Dr. Octopus. You didn't care about Doc Ock's but you gave a shit about fucking Bart Hamill. Oh my god, that's so bad. Oh. I understand now why fans in the 90s react to the original one. I'm just going to say that right now.
James is finally getting the empathy factor of this.
When people say, man, was the Clone Saga shit? I go, yep, and I'll pull this comic right out when they say it. It is like, what the fuck? It's more Jackal smoke and mirrors, but it's batshit weird because now you gotta throw in the Web Warriors, which their cartoon is fucking canceled. So it's a tie-in to a comic book that's a tie-in to a TV show that's canceled already. You got, Gwen. We're supposed to believe this is the real Gwen Stacy, and you have her tied up in a car. And then you got the lizard who ate his family say, make sure you ate your vegetables.
Which is so dark when you think about it.
And then you got Jack, and now you got, I guess it's because the Web Warriors, he's like, here's a newspaper from 2099 that says Peter's going to merge with them and that's going to cause the end of the world. And Anna Maria's there. When did she show up at Horizon University? Did I miss that part?
Yeah, that was in the first issue.
Okay, so I just missed it or forgot about it from the last time I reviewed it.
Yeah, that was in the first issue.
Because I thought, what the fuck is she doing there? So yeah, you got more. And then like I got the age thing, because that's a spooky thing. So I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, that's Spider Gwen. She's like 13, isn't she? And why is she like doing panty shots as she's kicking people? And then I thought, wait a second, back in Spider, and I went back to my back issues and I saw it. Edge of Spider-Verse. He says, you're in college now, Gwen, act like it. But yet she's a teenage girl, and what the fuck's going on here? This book is. I'm just gonna talk. It's like what Val Kilmer said in Batman Forever. It just raises too many questions.
So, James, do you give this issue a thumbs up, a thumbs sideways, a thumbs down, or I'm going to add another one here, or do you just give it a middle finger?
You know what? This is going to surprise you, but I'm going to give it a thumbs up, but on the Room scale, on a Batman and Robin scale. It's so bad, it's good for a laugh. If you want to laugh at a shitty comic book, read this all day. Like I said, it's not fucking One More Day. That is a shitty comic book that's just bad. This is a shitty comic book where I'm like, if I want to laugh at how fucking bad shit, crazy and weird it is, meet your Tommy Wiseau.
My thoughts. Yeah, I'm not really sure I can articulate it any better than James did. I'm going to be honest with you. James hit a lot of the points. Like, where did Spider-Gwen come from? Just like, that just...
How did they know? I guess it's because 2099 with the whole Web Warrior thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
It's like, I can understand putting Kane in here because of, like, it's Clone Saga. But,
yeah,
like, but it's like, where did Spider-Gwen come from? Like, when that happened, I was just like, what? And, like, that...
I first assumed it was how she's going to get the Symphony of Peter back. Like, her dad just turned on her for the Jackal, so she's going to side with Peter. And then you flip a page and you see the spider mask, spider sense thing, and I'm just like, what?
And so, like, that just comes out of nowhere, and it's so jarring. The Doc Ock thing at the beginning is like, what the hell?
It was a waste. Let's just call it.
It was such a waste. The Doc Ock...
Issue 20 is a waste, Superior Spider-Man's a waste, and that whole beginning is a waste.
Like, the Doc Ock beginning is pointless. What I did like is that Slott referred back to something that Peter was going on and on about through all of Big Time and Superior Spider-Man, and even Volume 3, how no one dies, and he's actually granted that wish. I liked that. That was good.
It's the twist of be careful what you wish for.
Jonah still not figuring this stuff out is bullshit.
It's one thing when it's his wife, but when Manny Franklin walks through your door, why isn't he freaking out like, okay, this is too weird?
So, yeah, it's like, I call
B... Pretty soon, you know what's going to happen. His dad's going to walk in. His first wife's going to walk in. Ned Leeds is going to walk in with Betty. Foswell's going to walk in. And he's going to be all like, it's the best day ever. You know, that's... And then they're all going to clone degenerate at the end of the story. And Jack... And you know who's going to blame? It's all Spider-Man's fault for taking down the Jackal. And you know this is where it's going to go.
And so it's just like, this comic is, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I've been trying to figure out how I feel about this comic for the past 3 days. And I just don't know because it's like, what is this?
It's like I said, somebody who grew up going to the comic book store in the 90s buying the Clone Saga. They're probably like, "Yep, now you kids get it. See what you get for your whole bring back Ben, chance and stuff like that at Comic Cons and stuff like that. See, this is what you get."
It's just, I give it a question mark. I'm going to be honest with you. Do you remember the last time we reviewed a clone issue, James? A clone arc. And I just gave it a big question mark because it's like, what did I just read? I have to give that to this because it's like, just like with the 90s, what did I just read?
And even the 70s Clone Saga was, what the fuck did I just read? But at least that was campy 70s, hey, groovy, where you can get away with it because they were probably on psychedelic drugs. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, the Jackal is in a mask of a bus driver. Remember that? And,
oh my god, that was crazy.
And Peter's talking about Ned and bubble baths. Remember? That was weird shit, dude. The clones can't get away from weird shit.
I give it a big question mark because it's just like...
The only saving grace is thank God Slott kept his word and there's no Judas Traveler here. As one of every villain that is alive again. There's not a Judas Traveler. Thank God.
You know what? At this point, who knows, James? Who knows? But I give it a question mark. Like, I'm tired from trying to figure this issue out. Like, it's hurting my brain. Like, oh my god. Clone Conspiracy number 2, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 90s all over again. But we have one last comic to hit up tonight.
Thank God. Not in a bad way. Thank God in a good way.
Because James has been looking forward to this one, and I'm going to let him tackle this one as well, because this is his dream right here. Amazing.
The book that I bought, not just because I enjoy it, and I enjoyed the original Renew Your Vows arc, but because I'm going to support Marvel by saying, I'm buying this because I have to for a podcast. I'm buying this because this is what I actually want to fucking read.
The Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, Jerry Conway, writer, Brian Stegman, artist, Sonia Obek, colorist, lettering, VC's Joe Caramagna, Ryan Stegman and David Curiel, cover artists, assistant editor Allison Stock, and editors Nick Lowe and Darren Shan. Brawl in the Family, Part 1. We're only going to cover the main story because I didn't read the backup. But
backup is pretty much just like, let's do cute stories with Annie, where it's Peter letting Sandman watch her for a day where he goes off to give his photos to Jonah, and then there's a Mary Jane one that sets up her getting her own costume because it's her and Annie going on a shopping spree, and while they try to figure out what their costumes are going to be and eating ice cream. That's it.
All right, James. But what happens in Amazing Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows, Volume 2, Number 1?
Oh, now we begin the adventures of the real fucking Spider-Man and not some bullshit that's going on with Clone Conspiracy. Yeah, we see Peter, what? A Spider-Man who has to worry about bringing home the groceries, like the eggs and shit like that, as he's fighting a supervillain who ends up being Scorpion, and Peter's all worried about normal, average life, as he's all like trying while he's fighting Scorpion, going, eggs, bacon, milk, cheese, deodorant, detergent. He's trying to remember the stuff. And he's fighting a supervillain. He's having it great. It's Code Green. And he realizes once he stops him that he's late coming home because there's something really important he has to go to. Then we see a mystery man who's clearly an Osborn with Project G that's clearly for Goblin. So I guess Harry's being brought in here. So they're being mystery, and it's clearly Harry. And we see there's a rumble in the ground somewhere. What could the rumble mean? And then we go to Peter, and in one of the best moments that we should have been fucking getting for the last 10 years. Peter swings home, and it's Code Green, it's Code Green, it's Code Green. Doesn't remember the groceries, because it's Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker. Even when he's a responsible parent and husband, he's got to forget shit. He gets home, he's like, MJ, is she in bed? Yeah, let's fuck. That's basically what happens here. It's all like, and this is legit. This is what real life couples go through. okay, we got 5 minutes. Let's hop in bed. The kid's asleep finally. It's a real life here. And of course, as soon as he turns off the lights, he hears a scream. And it turns out to be their daughter, who completely webbed up her whole room with the spider powers. Because now she's starting, because she's a little bit older since the events of her New Year vows. You know, she's like her, you know, everything's going on with her life. And then they sit her down and they talk to her about how her dad went for the same thing when he was her age. But Peter, you were like 15, 16, and she's like 12. So you weren't her age when this happened. But I guess it's supposed to be like a puberty metaphor, I guess. And there's a Captain Marvel poster in the background, which I guess some people confirm that the Avengers are still alive in this timeline now. Which is just hilarious. Like, Reed Richards showed up, and he's all like, this universe doesn't have Avengers no more? Fuck you, they're back, bye. So yeah, they're sitting her down there. And they're all talking to her. It's basically the power and responsibility speech, and it's all about you're going for a lot, sweetie, you know, blah blah blah. And then you see them, they're all, you know, and then you see them having family dinner, and then she's like feeding her pet, and they're all talking about a boy named Joey who she likes, and you know, it's a really nice thing. Peter's making wheat cakes because it wanted to be Spider-Man, and he flips them, and he loses control of it, so Annie does her spider abilities, you know, to catch it. And then they're all like talking to her again about powers and responsibility because something was all her. And then you see crap, mega crap.
That's exactly what I was thinking while reading that scene.
Only it's updated because he's going for an iPad. Delete. Like, that's pretty much what he's saying. And now we got a Jonah who actually fucking sounds like Jonah. This is what Spider-Man should be. And it sounds weird coming from somebody who is so anti One More Day and Brandon Day, and how that was like, this is how Spider-Man should be. No, this is how fucking Spider-Man should be. He's in the Bugle, trying to sell his papers, make a fucking living, while you got Jameson, where it's obviously he's not smoking, but he's got like, what, a candy cane in his mouth, and he has coffee, so it gives off the illusion of the old smoking Jameson, so I like that. And you got that, you got, you know, Gloria Grant there, you got Robbie there with the newspaper, like, yep, I heard Spider-Man was there. Wink. You know, it's very much classic, you know, Bugle. And then there's something going down, and Jonah's like, Parker! And Peter's gone, and he's out being Spider-Man, while a drone that I'm going to call Vanguard 1 is following him around, taking the photos for him. Because Peter's a fucking genius, but he's not Parker Industries' genius. And this shows it right there, because he builds a fucking drone to take the photos for him so he doesn't get no more butt shots.
That's literally the reason that they give in the issue.
And then Spider-Man fights a motherfucking T-Rex. Oh, and Peter makes a shot at the current run.
Yeah.
In this dialogue too.
We are not even kidding.
He literally tells you why this is a bad idea. No. Conway's like, fuck you to Dan Slott. Let's pretty much.
I want to read this. MJ thinks I'm wasting my mad tech skills as a news photographer. She's probably right, but where's the fun in working in a lab? If there's one thing Peter Parker is all about, it's having fun. It's like...
And for some reason, it's like you can dissect a code and you put it in like a decoder and it comes up, suck it, Dan Slott. Like, doesn't even feel like Conway's saying right here.
Legit, like, I read that and I was just like, man, you just took a shit on Amazing Spider-Man.
So yeah, we see dinosaurs and mole people coming out, and they're all beating up Spider-Man, and his spider sense is tingling, and he's all trapped, and because there's no other superheroes in this world because Regent killed them, there's no way to save him. Or is there? Hi, honey, I'm home. It's Mary Jane in her Spider-Man costume. They start fighting. They're doing the whole kind of husband and wife bickering, but it's kind of like, you should have called me. Yes, dear. You should have called me. Yes, dear. So you get more kind of new dynamic as they're fighting together against a goddamn dinosaur. Peter Parker and Mary Jane are fighting a dinosaur.
Why not?
Hey, after this, I'm not shocked anymore with comics. So yeah, while this is going on, they realize, holy shit, Mole Man's got Annie. To be continued.
All right. I think I'll go first with my thoughts on this issue because James has gone first the last 2 times. I really enjoyed this. I really did. I thought it was a really good comic. Like, it's an issue number 1. I mean, let's establish that. It's a first issue, but the family dynamic is incredible. The characterization is spot on. The dialogue is well written, and to be honest, like, there were points in here where I laughed. Like, the quips made me laugh, and, you know, I'll give an example of one. He's like, aha, not so tough now, huh? My web has the tensile strength of a carbon titanium alloy nanotube. One strand can hold a truck, and then it breaks. Obviously not a truck. And I thought that was funny. The artwork by Stegman and the team is really good, and just it feels like Spider-Man. It feels like it, just like James was saying earlier. Peter's at the Bugle. He's with Mary Jane. He's worried about making a living, worrying about bringing the groceries home. It's like, it's Spider-Man. You get so much Spider-Man out of just this one issue, and it's
irony. I'll bring this up when we get to my review, but it's irony.
It's really good. I mean, I don't really think I have any real cons or negatives for this issue. It's just a fun comic book. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, this is a must-read, I think. It's really strong. So, I mean, I don't really have much else to say. It's just like, it's a great Spider-Man comic. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's like, it's a great Spider-Man comic. So I give it a thumbs up. It's pretty good. So James, this is the book you've been asking for 10 years now. So what do you
think almost every Spider-Man fan's been asking that for 10 years now.
So what did you think of it?
It's like I said, it's the irony. After being told 10 fucking years ago, we're bringing Spider-Man back to the way he should be. This is the Spider-Man that everybody should be so nostalgic for. We're finally giving the Spider-Man you can relate to again. And here we are 10 years later with the book finally with Spider-Man anybody can relate to. Not a fucking guy working in a laboratory fighting goddamn clones again. No, a guy who's married, who has to remember to bring home the groceries, who has to find time to have, alone time with his wife because they have a daughter and they don't want to wake her, and then they lose that time together. He's working at the Bugle, and he's still a genius because he's inventing drones to take photos for him. He's teaching his daughter about power and responsibility. Like I said, he's at the Bugle. He's Spider-Man. This is what we've been missing. Like, it's like, I go for this, and I'm like, done reading this. I'm like, I don't want to read Spider-Man no more. And it's like this. A lot of people have been saying this, but it's almost like it's true. This is the real Peter Parker. This is the real Spider-Man. This is how Spider-Man should be acting. And what I mean, it's irony. Because they're trying to tell us, no, this is what you want. Marriage is so unrelatable. Marriage is not a good idea. Marriage sucked. Marriage kills a character. Marriage makes them grow old and die. You don't want them married. We have to be like the good old days. And then we get this, and it's like, thank God, it's back to being the good old days. Spider-Man is the way he should be. He's just a normal guy a smart guy, but a normal guy who got bit by a radioactive spider, and he has to worry about the groceries. It's like I brought up on CBR, and I showed John this post. There's a big difference between him being Tony Stark, Hank Pym, running his own company, and Peter being a responsible adult, married, has a job, whether it be the Bugle or being a teacher, and just trying to make a normal living. You can be a smart guy and a science, guy without making $1 billion in a laboratory. Because, like someone mentioned to me, well, he's in his 20s plus now, and it wouldn't make no sense no more for him to have money problems. I'm in my mid 20s plus now. John's about in his mid 20s plus now, and he has money problems. That's normal. Not everyone is a fucking Lex Luthor, Tony Stark, Norman Osborn, multi-billionaire, with a laboratory. He's relatable. He's our Peter Parker again. There's no real complaints about this. My biggest complaint was the artwork. Stegman's artwork I felt like worked during Superior because it's dark and edgy. This one, it kind of didn't at points. It kind of looked a little bit too dark and a little bit too dirty for my liking. But it still was good. And I like how they're setting up that Harry Osborn is alive in this universe. I do kind of like that. It's clearly Harry.
So yeah, James, do you give this issue a thumbs up, a thumbs sideways, or a thumbs down? I feel like we already know what you're going to give it. 2 thumbs up. All right, but that's going to conclude our basically our reviews for this episode, and that's also going to conclude this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to talk about this week. We've gotten through our 3 comics. We're recording this episode, so and the recording is going fine at this point. So we're going to end this now. So James, any final shout-outs or words for the listeners before we sign off?
Just one shout out to anybody who understands what happened in issue 2. Please email me and John so you can explain it to us, because I'm still scratching my head trying to make sense of all this.
My shout out: Marvel Stanley, Steve Ditko, Dan Slott, Jerry Conway, Ryan Stegman, Giuseppe Camicoli, Chris Osgage, all of them. Thank you for Spider-Man. Thank you for the comics we reviewed this week. Other shout outs: Supergirl on the CW. If you're not watching it, oh my god, it's like doing something amazing right now, and you need to watch it because, damn, frankly, like it's really good. Other shout outs. I don't know. I don't think I have any more. Pure Aqua Spring water because I drank it on the podcast. Yeah. I guess that's all we got. But thank you to everyone who tuned in for this episode. We'll be back next week, probably with another classic issue. Next week, I think, is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, number 21, so we'll probably hit that up as well. So check back next week. We will have another episode out. And, just thank you guys for tuning in. And, see y'all later.